Okay, guys, don't forget your camera. So we're working on the types of questions, and I remember that we saw detailed questions, we did accept questions, inference questions, purpose questions, paraphrase too, and reference, right? Is that what we did? Did we do paraphrase questions already?
No, we didn't.
We didn't do paraphrase.
The last one was purpose question.
Okay. All right. Okay, the next one we're going to see are called paraphrase questions, and they will ask you to paraphrase something. To be more specific, they will ask you to paraphrase a sentence. So you will have an original sentence, and you have to find one option that is saying the same as the original sentence, but in different words. Now let's paraphrase. So these are not as frequent as the other ones. You sometimes get one per passage, but there are chances where you get none. And you just have to do that. Find the option that is the best paraphrase of the original sentence. Of course, the sentence could be written in a different order. Yeah, it could maybe exclude some irrelevant information, but the main thing here is that the idea should stay the same. So we're gonna see, we're gonna be answering this question. I didn't find anything really, any paraphrase question in the text we were doing about the Teotihuacan, but we're gonna do the one that we were doing about Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. Okay. So Daphne, could you please read the question?
Which sentences is most similar to the following sentences for paragraph 1? The theory is based on the assumptions that life developed from non-life and progressed and evolved in an indirect manner.
Okay, thank you, Daphne. So, as you can see, you have the original sentence, right, which talks about the theory of evolution. By the way, this theory here is Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. So it says this theory is based on the assumptions that life evolved from non-life and progressed and evolved in an indirect manner. That is the original sentence. Now, out of these 4 options, they are asking you to find the one that is most similar to that, okay? So I'm gonna give you guys 1 minute for you to read the options and let me know what you think. Okay. Okay, guys. So what would you say the closest sentence to the original one here is?
Option A.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yes, I think it's A.
Okay, good. Anybody else? All right. So the first tip that I will give you is please never go back to the paragraph to read. Okay, when you have one of these questions, you should never read anything but the original sentence. Okay. Now, when could you read more than that? In case in the original sentence, they are referring to something that is not mentioned in the same sentence. So for example, in this case, it says the theory, right? But we know that we are referring to the theory. So maybe we could say, maybe if the sentence was something like, this is based. So that pronoun this has to be talking about something, right? Which is not in the original sentence. So in that case, you could read a little bit before the sentence in order to know what this is, right? But that is like the only case in which you can read more. But any other time, you should be only reading the original sentence. Now, the second thing I can give you as a tip is always pay attention to the main verb of the original sentence. So what do you guys think the main verb of this sentence is?
Developed.
Life developed, you sure that is the main verb? Actually, no. The main verb is the one that is with the main subject, right? With the subject of the sentence. What is the subject of this sentence? What is this sentence talking about?
It's talking about a theory.
Exactly. This is the subject. So what is the main verb in that case?
Based.
Exactly, is based, right? It's basically based, but in the passive voice. So is based. That's the main verb. So what I can tell you to do is try to ask a question that can be answered with this sentence. So what would be a question that could be the question for this sentence, right? What question could you ask based on this sentence? So that question has to contain the main verb. What question would you think we could ask that could be answered with this sentence? Directly. What would the question be for this sentence?
On which is based the theory?
Exactly. What is
the theory based? Sorry.
Yes, perfect. That is the question for this answer, right? What is the theory based on? The theory is based on the assumptions that life developed from one night. When you ask yourself that question, then everything becomes easier because the sentence that you're going to choose in the options has to be answering the same question. That is how you know that it contains the same idea. Now, if we look at the options, the only one that answers the question that keeps the idea of explaining what the theory is based on is option A, as you guys said, right? Because, for example, option B says that we can prove something, right? Look at the verb. This is the main verb. So nothing is related to proving anything, right? The question isn't what can we prove, right? So not B. The same thing goes for C. The main verb in C is holds. His theory holds true. So we are not asking when his theory holds true, right? It's not what the sentence is about. When his theory holds true or how his theory could hold true, we don't know. We don't care about that. And finally, option D, we could also eliminate it because it's about the fact that it's hard to make assumptions. So that's answering a different question, right? If we ask ourselves, is it hard to make assumptions? Then you could say, yes, due to the controversy, it is hard to make assumptions. But the question here is, what is the theory based on? So the only one that actually answers that question is option A, right? It is the same as the first one, but using synonyms. So instead of saying based on, I am saying founded on. But it's the same at the end of the day, right? Based on and founded on are just synonyms. So it's keeping the same idea, right? It's based on this and this and that. Is that okay? Do you guys have any questions about this one? So that is how I would advise you to approach these questions. Read the original sentence, understand the main idea, and in order to do that, try to look for the main verb and ask a question. And then the sentence that you choose has to be explaining or keeping that same idea without including any extra information or without missing important details or without like, I don't know, maybe having incorrect information. So those are the traps that you should be like alert for, right? Any questions? Is that okay? I'm sorry. No questions? All right. Now this one is the easiest one, I'd say. This is one that you guys are gonna love because it doesn't require much of your time and it's pretty easy to solve. You're gonna see. It is related to grammar, okay? I won't tell you that it's not. It is related to grammar. And right now we could be spending some time looking at the grammar part. But honestly, I don't think it's necessary. You guys will know the answer. We'll see. These are called reference questions, okay? And they are something like this. Emiliano, could you please read the question?
Yeah. Okay. The word those in paragraph 2 refers to.
So I'll give you guys 1 minute to try and answer this question, and we will see.
Letter B?
Letter B, survival.
Yes.
Okay, anyone else?
D.
Yeah, okay, traits and characteristics. Anyone else? Okay. So these are called reference questions. Why? What happens is that word those, and every time that you get one of these questions, the word they ask you about is going to be a pronoun. Do you guys know what a pronoun is? Does anyone know? It is basically a word that replaces or could replace or take the place of a noun. Okay? And what is a noun? A noun is the name of anything. Okay, so the names of people, names of animals, names of things, names of buildings, names of ideas, names of cities. Nouns are the names of anything that you can think of. Okay, usually you have three main types of words: nouns, the names of things; adjectives, so the ones that are modifiers, the ones that change the names of things or describe the nouns; and verbs, right, which are the actions. So nouns are the names of things, and pronouns are the words that could replace the noun. So for example, if I tell you, my grandfather was a great man, and then I say, he served the country, okay? So I'm saying my grandfather was a great man. He served his country. So when I'm saying he, that is the pronoun, because with the word he, I am referring to my grandfather, right? I am talking about my grandfather, but instead of saying my grandfather again, I am using a pronoun. So that is what's going to happen here. they will give you the pronoun he, and they will tell you, what does this word refer to? And you have to tell me it refers to my grandfather. That is kind of how this works. So, technically speaking, what you would have to do is this. You read the question, you don't read the options, and now you go back to the sentence where the word is located. In this case, this is the sentence where the word is. You don't have to read everything, all right? You don't have to read the entire paragraph. What you need to do is first read the sentence where the word is. You will very likely find the answer there. But if you don't find the answer in the same sentence, you go back one sentence and you read the previous sentence. So you read one more sentence. And if you still don't find the answer, you go back one more sentence and you read the one before that. Okay? So that's how you have to play. Usually, the pronoun is going to be referring to the subject of the sentence. The subject of any sentence, right? But most commonly the subject of the original of the sentence that contains the word. So in this case, what is the subject of this sentence? Over time, beneficial traits and characteristics that promote survival will be kept in the gene pool, while those that harm survival will be selected against. What is the subject of that sentence? What are we talking about in that sentence, right? Over time, beneficial traits and characteristics that promote survival will be kept in the gene. What are we talking about there? Traits and characteristics, right? That's what we're talking about. That is our subject. That is the only noun too. Because beneficial is an adjective. Over time, I mean, those are nouns, but they are not the subject, right? So it's gotta be traits and characteristics. But I'm gonna give you one life hack. You know how else you could answer this question without even reading? I'm gonna give you one more tip. When you get this type of questions, make sure that you try to see if the noun, or I'm sorry, if the pronoun is plural or singular, female or male, okay? So try to see if it's plural, singular, male or female. In this case, the word those, is it singular or plural? It's talking about one thing or many things. It's plural, right? Those. You use it for more than one thing. So the pronoun those is plural, which means that its noun should also be plural. Now, out of these four options, what is the only one that is plural? Option D, right? All of the other ones are singular. Survival, gene pool, natural selection. If you were to refer to them, you wouldn't have to say those, right? You would say that. So the gene pool is, I don't know, is something that, right? So I'm talking about the gene pool as that. But if you say those, it has to be something plural. The only plural option that we have here, sorry, is option D, right? Is that okay? Does it make sense? Yes, any questions? Everything clear? Okay, so then that's it. I don't think we're missing any question. We have two more. Okay, there's one more that isn't here. We're gonna do it from. Okay, so we don't have that type of question here. Or we do. Okay, these are called insert text type of questions. Okay, insert text. What do you think you have to do for these ones? you have to insert a text, right? That's why they are called like that. So, Carolina, could you please read the question?
Yes. In paragraph 1 of the passage, there is a missing sentence. The paragraph is repeated below and shows 4 letters, A, B, C, and D, that indicate where the following sentence could be added. In fact, artifacts and pottery from Teotihuacan have been discovered in sites as far away as the Mayan lowlands, the Guatemalan highlights, northern Mexico, and the Gulf Coast of Mexico.
Thank you. So in this question, it always looks like this. So you have one sentence. In this case, we have this sentence here. And they tell you that you have to insert this sentence in one of these 4 spaces. So it could be A, B, B, C, or D. So you have to picture that that sentence is going to go in one of these places. Where would it best fit? So where does this sentence belong, right? Does it belong in A, B, C, or D? So I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes. This usually takes a little bit longer than the other questions. And then we will. Okay, guys. So what do you think? Where would it best fit?
Letter C. Option C.
C, okay.
I think it's letter B.
Letter B, as in boat.
I also think it's letter B as both.
Okay. Okay, good. So B, C, anybody else?
For me, letter C.
Letter C. Okay,
Letter C too, teacher.
letter C. Okay, can anyone explain why C? So why would it be C?
For example, the letter A says industrial workshop sounds like actual work. For me, letter A not an option, but the letter C sound like a ancient empire in this time, sound like more clearly option.
Okay. And those who said option B, why B?
I think because when we say in fact, maybe it's like an example, and then it says clearly like showing that because of this example, much planning and central control were involved, etc. I think because of that.
Okay. First thing, I love the fact that you were able to deduce that. In fact, it sounds like an example, and I do think it's an example. But clearly, because of this example, do you really think that they are related? The fact that they found artifacts and pottery from Teotihuacan in different sites, is that really related to this? I don't know. It could be.
I think that after showing this example, I would think that maybe after we will say clearly to, yeah, because of this. I didn't think too much about the sentence, but yes, because of the in fact and what was after, and because of what they talked between A and B.
Okay. Yes, because you also have to see the sentence before, right? The sentence before and the sentence after. Okay. So the actual answer is gonna be D, option D. Okay, but we'll see why. So first thing that you have to do when you have these sentences, I suggest read the sentence and tell me, is the sentence talking about things in general, or is it specific? Does it have many specific details, or is it just a general sentence? In this case, what would you say? Is it a general or a specific sentence?
It's specific. Sorry to cut things here, but I also thought it was B because how the paragraph was developing, and I don't get it why it would be D. So could you could you explain it a little, please?
Yes, for sure I will. So as we were saying, first thing, it's a specific sentence. It has specific details. So that will give you an idea that this sentence, for instance, cannot go in the beginning, right? It probably won't be in one, two, or three sentences. When you have specific details, it has to be kind of like from the middle of the paragraph. Start another great tip for this, transition words that you can find. Why? Because transition words let you know what the relationship among ideas are. And once you know the relationship among ideas, then you know the relationship among sentences. So you know where to be phrased. So if it's an example, in this case, it is an example, it has to be an example of something. So what is this an example of? Let's try to find out. If we read the sentence, it says, artifacts and pottery from Teotihuacan have been discovered in sites as far away as the Mayan lowlands, the Guatemalan highlands, north of Mexico, and the Gulf Coast of Mexico. So this is showing that artifacts I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, guys, can you hear me?
Now, yes, at the beginning, when you started to explain, it got all freezed and at least I couldn't hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll repeat what I was saying. So we were saying this is an example because of the transition word, but we have to understand it's an example of what? Because how do examples work? Even when we were talking, we were in the writing section or we were in the speaking section, what we do is first we give the idea and then we give an example as evidence of the idea, right? So first, before this example, there has to be the idea that this example is proving. So we have to know what this is trying to illustrate. So what is the idea? Why would the author talk about this? Why would the author say that artifacts and pottery from Teotihuacan have been discovered in so many places, so many like faraway places? Why would the author mention that? What is the author trying to prove with that sentence? Can anybody tell me? That's evidence for something. So what does this evidence show? If you find artifacts and pottery from one city in so many faraway places, what does that show?
The cities as far away.
Yes, that the city wasn't just centered in one specific place, right? The city was expanded in many areas, right? Or maybe people from that city went to those places, right? That's what it means, isn't it? The fact that they found these artifacts and pottery so far away from the Teotihuacan Valley itself means that the people from Teotihuacan actually went to those places, right? That's why they found pottery from Teotihuacan in those places. So that is what this example is trying to show. So keep that in mind for a while. Now, if we go and look at the ideas in each sentence, it has to have a continuity, right? So first, in this sentence, it talks about how many apartment complexes the Teotihuacan had, a grain market, large number of industrial workshops, so a number of massive religious edifices and regular great palace of trade and buildings. This sentence is trying to show the complexity of Teotihuacan, right? Like how organized this city was, how organized this civilization was already, right? It had so many things, it was an advanced city. That is what this sentence is trying to show. Now, this other sentence is saying that clearly, that is true. Clearly is like a way to add result. Because of this, so clearly much planning and central control were involved in the expansion and ordering of these great metropolis. So when they say clearly, that means as a result, because of what I said before, much planning and central control were involved in the expansion of the city. Right? So would it make sense to say, first of all, before breaking these two sentences, would it make sense to say this city had so many apartment complexes, great markets, many industrial workshops, administrative centers, massive religious edifices, and great patterns on the streets? Because of that, can we deduce that much planning and central control were involved in the expansion and ordering of this great metropolis? Yes, does this make sense as a result of what was before? Or not? It does, right? Because in the first sentence, we are saying, well, the city had this and this and this and that, and all of that were ordered. So as a result, clearly we can see that much planning and central control were involved in the expansion and ordering of the city. Right? So I don't know if it's convenient to break these two sentences, because to me they make sense together. Now let's continue reading. The next one says, moreover, that means plus, this is another idea, right? Here we were talking about the control, the planning, and the expansion and ordering of the city. Right? So I don't think I would break those two sentences. But in the next one, it says, moreover, the city had economic and perhaps religious contacts with most parts of Mesoamerica, modern Central American Mexico. So this is another idea that is not related to the previous one because it says moreover. So do you think that this idea that the city had economic and religious contacts with other parts or most parts of Mesoamerica is related to our example, that evidence show that people went to different places? Is it related? This last sentence and our sentence, do you think they are related? They are, right? Because when they say the city had contacts with other parts of Mesoamerica, this could be an example of that because we know that this is an example. So this can be an example of how the city have contacts with other parts of Mesoamerica. Why? Because they discover artifacts and pottery from Teotihuacan in these places, right? What places of Mesoamerica? The Mayan lowlands, the Guatemalan highlands, North Mexico, and the Gulf Coast of Mexico. So these are the most parts of Mesoamerica that they talk about here. Now, this sentence is more general, and this one here is more specific. So the general has to go first, and the specific sentence has to go later. Always first general, then specific. So in this case, since this is like an example of something that comes before, this has to be an example of how Teotihuacan had contacts with other parts of Mesoamerica, or most parts of Mesoamerica, right? So it's gotta be D because of that reason. Is that okay? Does it make sense? Yes? Do you guys have questions? Or do you still think that maybe it's not so, it doesn't fit so well there? Is it clear for everyone? Yes. So the tips for this sentence, look at transition words. The word in fact already tells you that it's an example. So it has to be an example of something that comes before. Look at the transition words, like clearly that tells you that it's like a conclusion. Moreover, that is adding another idea. Those are going to help you, right? Transition words. And second, always think about how specific the sentence is. If it is very specific, mentioning specific places, then it's probably going to be like towards the end of the paragraph, right? So option D it is. Is that okay? Do you have any questions? No questions? Hey guys, so finally we are in the last question, summary questions. Okay, these are always the last question. So we're gonna take a moment to read. Alexander, could you please read the directions?
An introductory sentences for a brief summary of the passage is provided below. Complete the summary by selecting the 3 answer choices that express the most important ideas in the passage. Some sentences do not belong in the summary because they express ideas that are not presented in the passage or are minor ideas in the passage. This question is worth 2 points.
Thank you. So those are called summary questions. Okay, they always go at the end of the passage. As you can see in the directions, they are asking you, they give you 6 options. Okay, you have 6 options in this question. It's not from A to E, it's from A, I'm sorry, it's not from A to B. This time it's A to F. All right, so you got 6 options. Out of these 6 options, out of these 6 sentences, you need to choose 3 that are good summaries of the entire passage. Okay, so you have to choose 3 that you consider are summarizing the main ideas of the passage. Okay, main ideas of the passage. Remember that in the passage, obviously you have one main idea, which is the development of humankind. But within each paragraph, you have some main ideas, right? So they talk about the factors that influence the development of the city. They talked about how every factor was main ideas, right? 3 of them that you consider are used here. Eliminate that even though the information major idea in the past,
Sorry,
eliminate options that No? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right, I am really sorry. I just stopped working, so I'm so sorry for that. Let's continue. Maybe we're gonna stay like 5 more minutes. What I was telling you is that, you know, out of these 6 options, you gotta choose 3 that are you consider are the best summaries for the main ideas in the passage. And you don't have to include options that contain minor ideas. So that means that they talk about specific things, but not the bigger ideas. And options that have incorrect information. And the tip that I was giving you is most of the time, the correct options are going to be the ones that talk about the ideas or the first sentences in each paragraph. Okay, so when you find one option that is like maybe one of the first sentences of X paragraph, it's very likely that will be the one. Okay, give you guys 2 minutes to try and tell me out of these 6 options, which 3 would you select, and then we'll discuss. Okay. So what 3 would you select out of these 6 options?
Maybe I would say C, D, and I'm not sure if E or F.
Okay. Maybe here. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll go with B. That's the second, yeah, that one. A. And I'll choose D.
Okay, B, A, B, and D, right?
Yes, correct.
Anyone else?
I think is option A, C, and E.
A, C, and E. Okay. A, E. All right. So I think in this case, Alejandro's right. It is A, C, and E. Okay. Let's see why. Like, let's start eliminating some options. Like, for example, option B says Teotihuacan may have developed its own specific local religion as a result of the cultural advances made possible by the city's great prosperity. Okay, first thing, I don't think we know if this is correct or not, right? We don't know. We don't know if they have developed their own religion or not, because we haven't read everything, to be honest, right? So I couldn't ask you to answer these questions completely correctly without reading everything, right? So let's forget about that. Let's say that this is indeed correct. Even if that were true, this option B, is only focusing on one thing, which is religion, right? So Teotihuacan may have developed its own religion. But let's think again about what the entire passage was about, and that was Teotihuacan's development, right? So I'm not sure if religion is such a main idea, such a big idea. But if we, for example, compare it to option A, that says the number and sophistication of the architectural, administrative, commercial, and religious features of Teotihuacan, so do you see how they are not just focusing on religion or maybe on architecture or administration? They are talking about everything, including a little bit of everything. So architecture, administration, commerce, and religion indicate the existence of centralized planning.
Sorry, we couldn't, at least I can't hear you.